Okay, guys, just a very quick update before I go in a meeting. This is for the guys in the squad. As you know, I've been working quite tireless since January on updating how the bias tool works, etc. The original one is still pretty robust. It pulls out direction pretty much cock on, which I'm quite pleased about. But I wanted to refine it for hour to hour and make it a little bit more weighted. Now, kept relatively quiet on it until now, simply because it took a lot of work to get it right. It's not a million miles off. So if I flick it over, and I'll come back to this in just a second, if I'm looking at something like the euro dollar, which this is, you can see there's a lot of chop here. Now, on a 15-minute chart, you think, oh, well, that's not much, but it's actually quite a few hours, okay? And it's trying to capture the move between level and level. Now, the levels and the way I draw, they've been the same since I started donkeys years ago. So that's never going to change. If I haven't got these levels in, I'm pretty much trading blind. And as you can kind of see, as it's come into that level, it is stalling here. So that'll never change. The way I work my strengths out, if I flick this up, and I'll come back to this in just a second, the strength, this section, that has never changed, all right? Because I've got it off pat. Now, when I was looking at euro dollar this morning, it's kind of the better of the ones I was looking at. It is sitting on top of each other, okay? So there's not going to be a lot of movement, but the euro was slightly better than the dollar, giving it weight to the upper side. When I'm looking at ATRs, etc., well, the euro dollar ATR is better than sort of pound USD, but it just seemed to be better this morning. So it was the better of the two, and I zone it into one asset per hour. So from there, I took it down. I've been tracking it all week, what I've been doing, and I just thought I'd do a live test. So I dropped 100 quid into account so I could do it with pennies and just see, and then track it hour to hour to hour to see what happens as I'm tightening this up. And it seems the morning session between sort of 8 and 11 is pretty much where the winners are. And as soon as the day target is hit, which is what's up here, I just put a marker on so I can see when the day was hit. And what I'm trying to do is sort of maybe get it pulled in so you'll hit your 20 pips relatively quickly, and then you can be done for the day. Because the idea of tracking this is it looks to see how many hours win, not the positions, the time. So if I took the trade here, was it successful? Whether or not the positions were split and you had to sacrifice, because I do sacrifice trades. All right, so that's what this is about. So you can see I make a note of the ones that I sacrifice as well. Okay, just keep an eye on all of that. The reason why I do that is I want to see the hour winning. In other words, the trade idea. I couldn't care less if I sacrificed trades in the middle of it, as long as the idea was correct. And then I've just got to fine tune the entry, and that'll knock off the sacrifice trades. All right. So at the minute, that is 5 winning days straight. Okay. And there's been 15 trade ideas. Now there's more positions inside of that. So I've got to keep an eye on that as well. So they're the winning days. And then what I've done is I dropped it over into a journal as well, so that I can track what the true winning rate is of the positions. So there it is there. We started with, well, I'll put the summary in. So I just want to test it, stick to the rules, start with 100 quid and build it up, because I like to do this sort of thing. We started late in the month. So that was last month. Everything was hunky-dory there. This month, we're looking to grow by 20%. I am on holiday. Well, I'm on holiday now, actually. I'm breaking up today. And I'm going to be done for 10 days. So I'm not doing a lot in May because I want some time for myself. But I will be sort of bouncing around with this while I'm on holiday, because let's be honest, you guys know I don't really switch off that much. But I'm going to try and take some time for myself. I genuinely need it. Anyway, but as you can see, sacrificed trade here. Had to, because it was going to get killed off. And that's what we do. We just build these things up. And the idea of them, it's nothing more than, it just helps me gather the information that I need to make certain what I'm piecing together is right. And the ultimate part of it, I guess what you'd be asking is there any changes to it? Well, the answer is no. If I kind of pull this back and I go to the bias tool, the way this fills in and the way you score it is identical. You score it out exactly the same way. The only difference is on section 4, they're all going to be triggers to tighten it all up. But your broad strokes are exactly the same, you know, and you'll see them on the 3-click bias module. It will score identical. And I've done it that way so it's not going to sort of confuse you too much. But the engine that runs behind it kind of puts more weight on it. So if you can imagine an EMA over a standard MA, that's what this engine's going to do. It's going to put more weight into certain criteria as it gets in. So the hourly is going to hold a hell of a lot more weight than, say, a 5-minute, but it's also going to hold more weight than a monthly, because it's zoomed in on the price, but it's a price point that is more relevant to what's probably happening today, because the 5-minute's full of noise and the monthly's too far away. So it's weighted to what you're looking at in the moment, whereas the old version was kind of unilateral and had the same weight whether it's 5 or month, and then looked for an average. This is going to look for an average inside a weight, and at the moment it's doing quite well. In fact, it's doing really well. So I'm going to continue to do this to the end of the month. Few little tweaks here and there, but it's about 95% complete, and hopefully it'll make life so much easier. But what I'm going to stress about whenever you have any checklists or anything like this, they're not the be all and end all of your trade. What they do is clarify an idea that you should be able to recognize without anything. You should be able to look at a chart on your hourly, get a good gauge of what you think that chart is trying to achieve, step up one to the 4-hour, get an idea of what that's trying to achieve, and then step down into the 15, and then you've got a rounded look of what the market's trying to offer you, and you should be able to say, well, that's either going to buy or it's going to sell at a given time. And then if you plot it on the sheet will just justify it and visualize it in a way I can think, you know something, I was right. And then that'll help you, and then it gets you into a routine. So I hope that one helps you, kids. Do keep the Ask Scruff questions coming, and we'll do our best to get them done. See you on the next one.